Hi guys, my name is Eva. I am from Bella Sophia Sugar Crafts and I make cakes and cookies, and today we're going to be making some cookies and a lot of desserts, basically anything with sugar. So today we're going to make some Thanksgiving themed cookies so that hopefully you can make them in time for Thanksgiving with your family, and you can share some delicious cookies and with a beautiful presentation and impress all of your fam. So I'm going to be showing you my tools. A pencil, yes, I have a pencil. Pencils are non-toxic, and because everything that we're gonna use today is pretty much very minimal. I used supplies. I try to leave out all my fancy baker's tools and just go for basic things that you don't need to spend extra money on, because you can find them in your home and they're perfectly safe to use. So we're gonna be using basic things like a pencil and a toothpick. You're gonna need teaspoon, some spatulas. I love these mini spatulas. And you're gonna need a scissor, piping bags. You can purchase, I'm gonna leave a link or a list. In the list of supplies, there's gonna be info on where you can get all these supplies. These are called tipless bags, and I really love them because I don't need to get any like basic circle tips to do the outlines and fillers. This is perfect. I have piping tips. If I repeat myself, I'm sorry. I'm an only child, so I kind of rant a lot. So these are piping tips, and they come in different designs. I'll leave you also where you can find these. This is a number 1, like a mini number 1M, but I will put the exact number on there. Icing colors, Royal Icing. You will have the recipe for this and the recipe for sugar cookies on there as well. You're gonna need some bowls, and then some bowls with water, and you're gonna need a brush, a painter's brush, to fix some like mishaps that tend to happen with Royal Icing. We're gonna have our piping bags. I already pre-filled mine and pre-colored mine because to save time on this. Paper towels, very important. This is a messy job, guys. So we're gonna need some paper towels, and that's why I have like an extra bowl with water, because we're gonna need to clean the edges and things like that, and that's why you're gonna need a roll of paper towels. Royal Icing is very sticky. I mean, this thing really bonds. Like, you could probably like stick your brothers and sisters together with this stuff. Don't try it at home. So to keep your Royal Icing fresh, keep it covered in a completely airtight container, because if not, it's gonna get hard and you're gonna have to mix a whole new batch, because once air enters and it hardens, you cannot reuse it. You can't really bring it back to life, because it's gonna have all these little gritty things, and you're not gonna be able to push the gritty things through your piping bag. So preserving your Royal Icing in a airtight container is very important. All right, so let's have fun. I'm gonna show you. We're gonna do four designs for your Thanksgiving set. I will put more designs, more templates for you than these, but I'm going to show you these as a sample, and then these techniques that you're going to learn here, you can apply to any cookie shape that you want. A great thing to do is if you find a cute little image that you really like on the internet, you can print it out and size it and use that as a cookie. Anything. You can find a Christmas gnome, and you can all you need is the outline. All these are just outlines. This is a sweater. So just really get inspired into turning anything you want into a cookie, which is a lot of fun, because now you're just going to be looking at everything the way that I do, which is how can I turn that, or what can I turn that into that will be made out of sugar. That's just how I think about everything. Even when I go to like Home Depot, it's like, what can I find in here that I can use for my crafting? So the first cookie I already outlined is the slice of pumpkin pie. Yay! It's my favorite. It's my favorite pie. So for the outlining, what I do is that I just take my template and I lay it over, and then I use I have an edible marker, but you guys probably don't have an edible marker, but you can use a pencil since it's non-toxic. You can go in and outline, because this is going to help you. You can even go in and add, this is going to be the beige crust. You could put that on there. You could put here, you could put that this is the pie, and here you could put that this is going to be the frosting. That way you have, you know, a guide for yourself as to where these colors are going to go on your cookie, and it makes it all that much easier. So I've outlined my pumpkin pie slice. So we're going to start off with this one. So what you want to do is, I would start off with the let's start off with the inside, and then we'll do the crust, because the cookies need time in between layers. Sugar cookies are all about layering, so that it gives it like a depth effect. So let's start off with the middle, and so you're gonna cut off just a little bit. Don't cut off nothing, not like a big amount, just like the tiny little tip here. You also want to make sure that when you cut your piping bag, you will see the line. You could even turn around and make sure that you're seeing the line in front of you, and you don't want to cut it to the side. If it's smooth like this, you don't want to cut it, because you need it at an angle like this. So let's just cut a little bit. You cut the least amount possible, because then if you feel like you need to cut off more, you can. But if you cut too much, you can't put it back. You're just gonna have to get a whole new piping bag, and that's a waste. Let's not do that. So cut off a little bit and see how that goes. So let's start. This takes time. So take some, I don't know, like an afternoon or a long morning. You're gonna need several hours to do this, because you're gonna have to dry one layer, then wait about 20 minutes to half an hour till that layer dries to put on your next layer. And some cookies have multiple layers, so it's a lengthy project here. All right guys, so I like to let a little bit of my icing out, just to make sure that everything is flowing perfectly. And then you just start piping along your lines that you have already made using your template. If it dots off like this, where you just, it kind of cuts itself off, that's fine. That happens a lot. That's just air in your piping bag. Just go over that again, because we're going to be filling that line in. So just do your outline like if you were coloring. It's your outline. And then if you have like any little bubbles, this is when you need your toothpick, so you can flatten out your little bubbles. I'm also gonna show you guys, and I'll leave it in the instructions about the different consistencies, because different jobs, different layers sometimes need different consistencies. So now we're gonna do the outline for the crust. Again, we're gonna cut our piping bag with the line in front of us so that we could get that really good angle. We're gonna let it out onto the napkin. And then again, if you have a bubble, you're gonna use your toothpick to just fill it in. Level it out a little bit. If you get some of the other color, it's okay. So we're gonna be filling on top of that anyways. All right, so now we're gonna go in and fill out our pie. So we're gonna use our toothpick to spread the icing around. So that our cookie is covered. And then we're gonna do something really fun. And it's to kind of move our icing. And we're gonna shake our cookie a little bit so everything settles. I've had a lot of things happen to me. I've had a cookie fly off my hand. I've had a cookie fall upside down, all sorts of things. So just try to grab your cookie gently but firmly and shake. And let's hope that our cookie doesn't fly away. So you shake it until all those little lines kind of disappear. And any little bubbles. So, see? Perfect. Some icing might come off on your hand when you're shaking. That's okay, because we're gonna go in and fill that. That's just an outline. An outline is a guide. So what we're gonna do now is that we are gonna clean our hands. I have icing colors all over my hands and nails. You will too. So I'm gonna put this one aside because we're gonna dry this layer so that we can add in our next layer. Just gonna fix that I did there. And then I'm gonna use my little wet brush to pat down these details. Okay, so we're gonna leave our little pumpkin pie there. And we're gonna go in for our pumpkin. For our pumpkin, so let's do the outline. I don't really need to do an outline anymore because I've done this so many times. But I'm gonna do the outline for you guys. Again, you should put the template over it and then outline it that way. This is the little stem, and then you're gonna have your leaves here. Should have outlined it this way. So there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do the first, the 2 outer layers of the pumpkin, and then we're gonna let it rest, and we'll move on to the next one so that these have time to dry. So I'm just letting my icing flow out of my piping bag. I'm not touching down on the cookie. It's just flowing. It's better that way. Just pop your little bubbles. Sure everything's nice and smooth. Now we're gonna go in and fill our pumpkin. And there's no like right way to do this, just fill it in. You don't have to fill it completely in. I just basically did it like this, and then I'm gonna use my toothpick to just move my icing around. So you move it around. All the way. Fill in our next side. This is actually very relaxing. So it's like one of those calming coloring books, but this is better, I think, because in the end, you can eat this, and that's even more relaxing, that you can eat your sugar and your creation. All right, so now we're gonna do the little shaky shake. And just take that off of there. And if you see that your cookie has like a little indent, or a little like hole, you just put a little bit of icing where that is, and then you move it around with your toothpick. And you go back to shaking it until everything melts in there. And you can tap it a little bit, but not too hard. Okay, so at this time we can actually do the trunk too. The little not the trunk, the little stem. So I'm gonna actually make a little bit of a darker brown. So you're gonna take your bowl and your royal icing, and this is very thick. I like to use these thick consistencies for things like flowers, or like how we're gonna do on the pie, we're gonna do some whipped topping, favorite. That's what I like to use this consistency for. Okay, don't forget to cover your royal icing so that it doesn't get hard. So we're gonna add in some color. I like to start off with a little bit of color, because if you put in too much color at once, I mean, disaster. It'll just get too dark, too fast, and you won't be able to control the shade that you actually want it to have. So this is brown, but I feel like this is still too brown for me, too light for me. So we're gonna add a little bit more. You can find these icing colors at your local craft store. You can find them on Amazon. I've even seen icing colors in local supermarkets. Won't find like these fancier gel colors, but they do have food coloring. You can find it at the supermarket. They usually don't have that great of a color selection, but if you get to it and find yourself a color wheel, you can certainly mix your own colors from there. Okay, so I like this brown. This is pretty good. But I'll do a little bit more because I want like a dark chocolate brown color. The more coloring that you add, your consistencies are going to change. So just be mindful of that. You might need to add a little bit more sugar if your icing gets too liquidy. So now I have like a nice Hershey bar kind of color here. So you're gonna take your piping bag, you're gonna open it. You're gonna kind of bring it down over your hand so you create a nice little pocket. And then you're gonna put your icing in. And you're gonna cut your piping bag. And let some out. I do this also so that I can let out any like initial air bubbles. And then we're just gonna go over our outline here. And fill it in. And then what I want to do is that, yes, I want to level it out, but I also want to do a little bit of like a wood stem design that the stems have. So I just want to come out. You can clean your toothpick as you go. Just give it some little dimension. Just clean it on the side like this. And then go over it again. And do like the swirl that the stems have. Okay, so now we have our little stem, and you could have just left it simple, or you can look up different ways to make your wood stems. We can also do the leaves. So to do the leaves, you're gonna cut it actually like a little triangle. So you're gonna do your line in front of you, and then you're gonna, instead of cutting across, we're gonna cut a tiny little I'll leave you kind of like an instruction for this so you can see it. So you want it to have this like V shape here. See? so that this is gonna, once you turn it to this side, I'll show you guys on here, it will have, once you pipe, it will have this nice leaf effect, and you can make them little and just pull away fast, or you can make them really thick and long. It all depends on the amount of piping that you put down. So I want to actually do a couple of leaves on this. So now you have your stem, your leaves, and the sides. But we're gonna leave that and come back to it so that we could do the middle, and that can have like, the middle can pop out a little bit. So let's do our latte. I'm a coffee lover. So this could be hot cocoa or coffee, which is what I would do. Whatever you like best. And you can choose whichever color you want your mug to be. I am going to make my mug yellow. Okay, so you're gonna cut your piping tip like I did. Gonna let a little bit out. And then you're gonna use, again, your outline as a guide. And we're gonna go in and fill it in. And now we're gonna use our toothpick. Now that we've switched colors, just got a different toothpick so that you don't have any like leftover icing colors that can bleed into what you've got going on here. It is pretty cold where I am right now, so my icing is drying a lot. The first layer of it is drying a lot faster. Depending on the temperature of your home, that's how quickly your royal icing is going to dry, or your area that you're in. This is also a great opportunity to play with your culinary flavor profiles, and you can make your cookie one flavor and your icing another flavor. I actually like my cookies to be a little bit on the darker side because that caramel flavor really comes out. And you can use any extract. You can even put coffee, a little bit of instant coffee into your cookie dough and flavor it like that. Just make sure you pick a decent coffee because it's all in the flavor. This is when we're gonna take our brush again just to fix these little lines here. The water helps firm out the royal icing. Okay, so I'm gonna let's shake it a little bit more. My royal icing has dried on this one pretty fast. So I have like a little swirly design going on right now. So I'm gonna use that to my advantage. One more. And we're gonna create a design of our own. You're gonna go up and down. You could do these with whatever color you like, whatever 2 colors. And then that side is fine because we're gonna go over that to outline the handle of the mug. Okay, so this is our coffee mug. And again, guys, your first try is not going to be perfect, and it's okay because you're just learning techniques. I'm just trying to soften some of my royal icing. Because it's so, the temperature is so low here, it crusts over pretty easily. Okay, so now we have our latte here. We can actually go ahead and do the swirl. Go. I'm gonna put let's try this one. I don't think I've used this one. Let's see what it looks like. Again, I'm gonna leave where you can get your piping tips. So that you can kind of explore all the different designs that they have, and you can use them in so many different ways. Right now we're gonna make our whipped topping. I love whipped topping, especially when I add my own flavor to it. It's really good stuff. So let them out. And then let's start at the top swirl. And then you just swirl around until you have a nice whipped topping. So now you have like a nice mug with your whipped topping right there. Delicious. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our sweater. And again, you could draw your outline for your sleeves. And then choose which color you want to make your sweater. I'm gonna make my sweater green, but I can't use this piping bag because I've cut it like a leaf already. So I'm just gonna take another piping bag and put this piping bag in there. And cut my little hole. Let's see how thick this is, because if it's too thick, then we have to add some water to it. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty thick. So let's take it out of the bag really quick. And we're gonna put some into one of our bowls. We don't need this much water anymore. So we're gonna put what you think you need for the sweater, which is not much. And then this is about consistencies. So just take, I use a teaspoon, but this is such a small amount of icing that you're not gonna need a whole teaspoon to bring it to consistency. Just add a tiny bit at a time, just a few drops. And then you take your spatula. My spatula ran away. Yeah, I'll just use this one. So mix it in. And then you check your consistency. I'm gonna leave a little note about consistencies and what kind of consistency you need for each step. This is still a little bit thick for me to fill in the sweater. So I'm gonna add a couple more drops. Okay, this is looking good. I don't want it too loose because I don't want it to run off the cookie. Okay. So we're gonna fill our piping bag. Leave no icing behind. I think it's a good rule. Use all the icing you can. And we're gonna try and send our icing to the bottom and tie our piping bag so that our icing doesn't come off out of the top and onto everything in the surface. You can probably cut this just a tiny bit more. And then we're gonna start outlining here. So start off with the neck. Sleeves. So excited for sweater weather. This is a perfect cookie for sweater weather. And then I'm gonna fill in the body, and I'm gonna leave the sleeves for last. So again, gonna spread our icing around and smooth it And I'm gonna do this really fast so that it doesn't form a crust like it did on my latte cup over there. Now we're gonna finish off the sleeves. Now we're gonna pick up our cookie as gentle as possible. I'm gonna shake it around a little bit. And we're gonna let it settle. It's nice and shiny. And so we're gonna leave that there so we can come back and add some design to that. I'm actually gonna show you how to do a little bit of knitting. So that's good that we reserve some of our stiff icing there so I can show you guys that. Let's go back to our pie. I know that this is like kind of a long lesson, guys, but it's fun. It's gonna pay off when everyone is like, oh my gosh, you made those cookies? We're gonna do the top of our pumpkin pie. Let's go in there. And we're gonna shake it a little bit. Smooth it out, and we're gonna go in and do our crust. I like to add a little bit more icing to these roughly pie edges so they could be more raised than the pie itself. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and take out our little bubbles. Shake your little cookie. I kind of give it a couple turns so that the icing can go in different directions. And I've lost my brush. I'm gonna take your brush and just kind of go along and flatten out anything that looks out of place. Yay! So now you have a pie, your filling, pumpkin, and your crust, and we're gonna add a delicious topping. So you're gonna go in and add your topping to the top here. And you have a delicious pumpkin pie slice. Ready to eat. I can't eat it. I have to share. So now we're gonna go in and finish our pumpkin. You always want to clean off the end of your piping tip because there's going to be icing on there that has crusted over already. So you just want to take that off so you don't put it in with the rest of your nice smooth icing. So you want to come in and fill in the middle here. Phone is ringing for cookies, but we're not giving up our cookies today. Okay. So we're gonna do our shaky thing. And we're gonna set that aside for a second because I want to go in and just add a couple extra lines in there. That has to dry for a little bit. So in the meantime, I am going to come in here and add some lines to my sweater. Take off, this is why I always have coloring in my hands, because it's cleaning off the piping bag. So just add the lines for where the arms go here on the sleeves. Could add another neckline in here. Our icing's still wet because this layer is sinking into it. So we're gonna come back to that and I'll see you guys another like 15 minutes so that we can let this dry. All right guys, so we're back with our cookies. And I'm gonna show you how to do a little like knitted pattern on your sweater. You can also, if you're a fashionista, go and see like a pattern of your choosing and try to replicate it in Royal Icing. That's gonna be very fun. So I'm gonna show you on the board first. So we're just gonna do basically like kind of like dots, and they're gonna look knitted as if you were knitting. So push icing and do it like in opposite directions. Upside down is probably not my best knitted work, but we're gonna do that design here, and we're gonna do it at the bottom of our sweater. To see, gonna do the knitting effect here, and then just keep doing it next to it. So it's like part of our sweater is knitted. All right, that's pretty cool. And then we're just gonna do an outline at the top, at the bottom, and at the top. So it could be like our knitting is boxed in into our cookie here. So a little bit at the corner here.
So put a little bit of knitting there, and we could probably do a little bit at the bottom. This could be like your ugly sweater. Just go up and down. And you just go over it again. Just a tad bit lower. And then we can outline the bottom. Again, you can do whatever design you want. You can even do some polka dots. You don't have to knit anything. This is just one design. You can even add a little kind of neckline to your sweater. That's really fun. And add some details to your sleeves. So you have your sweater, you're all ready for Thanksgiving. I have another sweater that I did. And this one, let's see if it's dry enough. I did. And we're just gonna use our brown and we're gonna create some polka dots with it. I love polka dots. There doesn't need to be any particular pattern to your polka dots, I think. Then go in with your toothpick. This brown icing's stiffer. You want to do this with a little bit looser icing. So I'm just gonna take my little brush and tap these little circles down so they're more flat into the icing. Okay, so now that we've done our polka dot top, we can add some lines in there. This icing's still pretty wet, so the lines are probably not gonna stand out as much. But since you're at your own leisure at home, you can have as much time to dry these out. So I'm gonna do a neckline. You could do whatever design you want on there, on your neckline. And add some details to your sleeves. And you can add some details to the bottom of your sweater. Again, guys, this is very creative. You can let your imagination run. Think of something in your closet. Let me see if my icing is ready enough to do. Yay, it does it. Okay, you guys can run your toothpick down the sides when your icing is ready, and it will kind of create that kind of cut between the body and the sleeves. Sometimes you'll have to do it multiple times for it to actually make a space. Fixing one of my little polka dots here. All right, so now you have a slouchy sweater, polka dotted sweater, a knitted sweater, a pumpkin slice. Let's turn our pumpkin slice around. A little hot cocoa or latte mug. Oh, and let's just add one last thing. And it's the little lines to the pumpkin. You just add these just for some extra detail. That will dry nicely there. So now you have your set of cookies. You have some more different shapes in the templates there for you to choose from. But here's our little set. Very gives you the holiday feels. And I really hope you enjoyed this and that you can get very creative with your different icing colors and your little set, and enjoy them with your family and friends and have a latte. And you can apply these techniques to any shape that you can find and think of to make as a cookie. So again, I would love to see your creations, so please tag me on IG at Bella Sophia Sugar Crafts. I would love to see what you created here. So bye guys.